you, to the 9 people who are going to watch this, this will be the single most greatest, comprehensive, and most amazing spring overseed video that you have ever seen. Well, maybe not that great, but it'd be pretty good. It's more like a vlog. And I'm not a professional. I'm guessing you're not a professional. I'm not a professional. I watch guys on YouTube who are professionals who do this. And so now you get to see a guy like you, who's just a normal guy, do this too and see how it works. I've been trying to edit this video for a good amount of time, and I can't get like the flow of it, the thought behind it completed. And I realized that it's because I kept trying to make this video seem like it was the greatest overseed. Everything went perfect, everything was amazing, but it's a spring overseed, and that's just not the facts and how spring overseeds go. And in order to make this real, I got to share with you the good and the bad that happened in this. And the bad kind of happened from day 1 to day 25. We went through extremely cold weather on the day that I seeded, to thunderstorms and flash flooding in the area and in the yard as well. And so what you're seeing behind me, the outcome of the overseed, this is actually, I believe, worst case. If you put down a quality seed and you take your time and do it at least halfway right. And I'll just being honest, I wasn't doing everything perfect. I knew this was a spring overseed. I knew things would go wrong, and my main goal in this was just to get the lawn to a good point. But we did have things go wrong. And what I want to do is I want to go over the good and the bad and tell you guys how I did this, what was the steps, and what I did wrong and what I did right in each of those steps.
It's the big overseed day, and it's already starting off a little bit annoying because we just had 4 straight days of rain. So the backyard is a little soggy, but it's firm enough to walk on and not leave tracks or anything. So that's a good thing. And it's randomly, this morning, it's randomly in the 40s. It has been 70s, even at nighttime in the 60s the last about week and a half. And for the next month, the temperature will be in the 70s, nighttime will be in the 60s. But today, since we just had this rain and cold front, it's actually kind of cold this morning.
So there were a couple of things I did that are not going to be included in this video that you may or may not have to do yourself. The first thing I did was I did a manual dethatch. This wasn't with the dethatching machine where you rake over it and get all the dead grass that is built up over time. That wasn't my main goal of it. Because as you can probably see, there's a lot of trees back here. We had ice storms over the winter and limbs and sticks break. And so I needed to get all of that out of the lawn before doing the overseed. That way, actually before even mowing, I needed to get that out of the lawn. I used a big 32-inch plastic rake that I got at Home Depot. It was like $18. Used that and just went over the lawn, getting, of course, the dead grass and stuff that was in there too. But the primary goal was all the sticks like this and things like that to get out of the lawn. That's not going to be in the video. There was actually a video I did on that process there. The second thing I did was I sprayed down a mesotrione. The mesotrione was to be used as like a pre-emergent and post-emergent. There were some weeds in the lawn I wanted to get rid of, as well as I knew since I'm overseeding and not putting down a traditional pre-emergent, that I was gonna get some weed pressure to come in. My lawn is particularly favorable to clover, get a lot of clover. And so I wanted to make sure that I gave my lawn the best opportunity to get the grass to germinate and grow before the weeds just came in and started to take over everything. Next thing I did was, this was the reason that I did a spring overseeding. I knew that I was removing raised flower bed I had in the lawn. I knew I was removing that. It was about right here. It was a 5, about 20. And I wanted that thing out of here. So I knew I was gonna take that out in the springtime. I knew I would have to seed there because I would not want the bare ground there all summer. Last thing I did was I mowed the grass, of course. Of course the grass was still relatively dormant, wasn't really growing, wasn't really that tall. So I mowed it down on the second to lowest setting. I didn't scalp it. The lawn had a lot of bare spots. So it wasn't really a lot of grass that needed to be like moved out the way.
Think of these more as vlogs, You may learn something, you may not, but it's more of a vlog. And these are tips that I have picked up online on YouTube.
And I wanted to get all of my materials. Once I got the materials, I grabbed that wheelbarrow to haul everything over. I had numerous bags of topsoil and compost that I plan on using, like a top dressing, and I also had a bag of peat moss. Once I had all of that stuff, I grabbed all of my tools. The tools I used was a leveling rake and a bow rake. Those was to help level and break up the dirt. Peat moss spreader, a cultivator, a broadcast spreader. That was the last thing I used. So when starting the process of the overseed this time, one of the first things I did was I went across the lawn and I wanted to pick up all of the sticks and debris that has come from the trees up above and get the lawn to a good bare surface. So once I got that up, I went around with a top dressing and actually filled in a bunch of divots that I had in the lawn. The divots were probably 2 inches or 3 inches deep and like 2 to 3 inches wide. And I had a bunch of those there from the squirrels just digging in the lawn. They do this every spring and every fall. They dig in the lawn to bury walnuts and acorns and everything. And then they come back in the spring and dig them up. And so I took some topsoil and filled in all those areas. And there was a point right in front of the patio right here that has a lot of pool and water issue, and it's because it's a dip right there. So I took 2 bags of topsoil and filled that in and leveled that out, not to get it perfect, just to get it to a good point, because the gap is big enough that I'm gonna have to get a lot of topsoil. My lawn is not by all means level, which is one reason I cut it really high. I cut it as high as I can. I think 3.5 inches is the highest my mower goes. Wish it went a little higher, but I cut it as high as I can. I scalped over there somehow, and I'm not sure how, because I had my mower up as high as it goes. See, there's some scalping going on. I don't know. I think my mower, see, I need a new mower, guys. I need a new mower because it's scalped. It's scalped right here. I don't know. No, on the camera, it's like right here, this whole line here. It's like scalped, this line. It's like scalped right here. And it's like my mower dropped. Even though it's on the setting, it's like it dropped. Anna Mae's old, guys. Anna Mae's old, she's beat up, she needs to go. But I told myself as a promise to myself, I'm not getting a new mower until I get to video 30 on here, because I keep saying I'm gonna start this channel and I keep on not holding up to it. So new mower comes at video 30, guys, video 30.
So next I'll take the cultivator and we're just gonna agitate everything. Just agitate everything. This will let that seed have a place to fall in and rest, so that it just helps that seed to soil contact. This is how this whole area looked. And now this is what 1 to 2 passes of the cultivator got us, is this. So just a quick, this in live time. Boom, boom. And now that's all broke up. And when I put down the seed, it's gonna drop in and have great soil to seed contact. So I'll go ahead and finish this out. And then just as I water, and everything, the seed will just kind of melt off into this. I got most of the places I need to get. I did get a little tired, and that is a short handle on that thing.
If you're using one of these, you want to make sure you get one with a longer handle. I had one that is probably a 4-foot handle. I'm 6'2", so I went around bending over to do it the whole time. And just after this big lawn going over most of it, my back was hurting. I'm 36, so I mean, it wears into you. After we did that, I went around and put down the seed.
Blackout turf type tall fescue, baby.
I actually put down 5 to 5.5 pounds per 1,000 square feet because I bought a 25-pound bag. I set aside about a pound, pound and a half, and then the rest went on my lawn of about 4,500 square feet. I'm not sure what the setting night shift actually recommends you to set your broadcast spreader at. I set mine at 6 because I know that if I set it on 6, I can go across my lawn 3 times and the seed will be gone. I'll use all the seed, exactly 3, which gives me a chance to go up and down, east and west, and then diagonal to get that good coverage. That last 1.5 pounds, I took a few handsful of it and walked around and spreaded it out by hand in different spots that were bare that needed that extra attention, especially over the flower bed. I went and spreaded that back out by hand too, just to give it that extra attention, that extra seed. And I set aside a couple handsful of it as well, just in case we get some wash off, some runoff, or anything like that. So next we put down the top dressing, and what I did was I mixed those into a big wheelbarrow and like poured in a little bit of each, a little bit of topsoil, a little bit of compost, a little bit of peat moss, mixed them up in a wheelbarrow, and then I took the shovel and shoveled it into the peat moss spreader. That lasted twice, and then I realized, like a smart person, my brain cut on, and I realized that, hey, I don't need to shovel it. It's a wheelbarrow. I can just dump the wheelbarrow into the peat moss spreader. I covered the primary parts first, which was the flower bed right in front of the patio, and then once I got that covered, I went over the bare spots, which was mainly along this back wall here, and then the bare spots over here, and then whatever I had left, I started to cover the rest of the lawn, starting at the closest points toward the patio, which is right in the middle of the lawn, and working my way out. I was able to cover about 3/4 of it, which was more than I thought. I did have an area that's off on the side of the house that I did use a soil conditioner on. I did plan on using the soil conditioner in the mix of top dressing, but I quickly realized that that's more big wood chips and things like that that's not going to help retain moisture. So I didn't want to use it on the main lawn. I wanted to use everything else. And once all of that was gone, I did use that soil conditioner on the side lawn just for, something to kind of help it, but I knew it wasn't going to do much as far as water retention. If anything, it just to hold the seed in place, because that was all bare dirt too. There are areas that I did not get good with the peat moss spreader, so I just have a hand of peat moss here, just a handful of peat moss, and I'm just gonna go kind of get a little bit of coverage here, just around the edges over here. So once we had that down, we went around it and put down the fertilizer. Now the fertilizer, I did do this by what the bag says to a certain extent. The bag I had, the 16-pound bag I had, will cover 5,000 square feet. There are 4,500 square feet back here. So I put down the whole bag. That little overage is not gonna make a big deal. And if it does, it just is what it is at that point. But that little overage is not gonna burn the lawn or anything like that. Now, the bag cost to be put down in 4 3/4 with a Scott's rotary spreader. Next time, if I use the fertilizer again, I probably will put it where I normally do, at like 5.5 to 6, because at 4 3/4, it took me 6 times to go over the lawn to empty that whole bag. So I probably wouldn't do that again, but because I haven't used that fertilizer before and it's a synthetic fertilizer, I didn't want to risk it and put down too much in one spot and end up burning everything. From there, we were all finished. So we was all finished. And all I had to do then was to cut on the sprinklers. I set up the sprinkler system on timers. If you have enjoyed this video, if you're one of the 8 or 9 people who watched this video, then I truly appreciate you, and thank you for sticking around this long and watching this much of this video. I do have more to come pretty soon. We're gonna have updates on the night shift and how the color is going, how it looks throughout the summer and everything, and how it does in the heat, in the transition zone. So we'll have updates on that, and we're working our way to video 30 to get a new mower. Do me a favor and hit the like button. It helps the channel grow. I probably only have like 9 or 10 views on this video, so if I can get double-digit likes on this video, that would just that would mean the world to me, and I Would appreciate every one of you. So hit the like button if you feel like doing so. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see updates on the lawn and updates on how the seed is doing, and just a general information that I learned that I want to pass on to you guys. I'm not a professional. I'm a homeowner who does homeowner things, who enjoys having a nice lawn, and it's my hobby. So I appreciate you. Until next time, guys, I'm out. But look at this. Ooh-wee!